We're going to talk about epiphanies today on my show. Welcome to Wednesdays with Willa. I am your host, Willa White. I'm a registered Lilydale medium, and this is my weekly podcast show that airs on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium, and also on Blog Talk Radio, the Lilydale radio site. So you can check it out if you would like to have the visual and audio on my Facebook page. I also do upload it later to my YouTube channel, or you can listen to the audio only version on the Lilydale Blog Talk Radio site. There are other Blog Talk Radio shows. I encourage you to take a look at those. If you visit, you'll see different topics that are covered every week in different shows, so I encourage you to take a look at those, and you can certainly look at the archived videos of my past shows. This is year 4 for Wednesdays as well, so you have a lot of wonderful material that you can go and review, learn from me and my special guests. I typically have a special guest on the show, but I have days I like to fly solo and explore a certain topic with you. Usually it's relating to spiritualism, mediumship, healing, faith, family, or more, and we just go down that topic and have a spiritual conversation. I grew up in a family that very much supported the understanding of a spiritual conversation and spiritual knowledge and book learning and everything, so that really combines in my very essence to be able to share the things that I do with all of you. And I really enjoy connecting with you, my viewers and listeners, and I get such great feedback from you guys of how much you appreciate the show. So that's why I do it. So today is Epiphany Day. So because the show date landed on this, I was like, oh, I have to talk about it. Because epiphanies are something that people think won't happen to them, that they happen to other people. So we're going to talk about that and a bit of the history behind epiphanies and maybe what to do in order to invite epiphanies. So Epiphany Day, for those of you who don't know, is a Christian feast day that is associated with the Christmas season. And not only do you get Christmas Eve and Christmas Day, but you get Epiphany Day, and it keeps going on. It's almost like this never-ending celebration if you really wanted to let it be that way. But on Epiphany Day in the Western Christian church tradition, that means that we're celebrating the fact that the 3 kings, the 3 wise men, the 3 magi, however you want to refer to it, they visit Jesus. And on that particular day, they give him his gifts. They recognize him as a king, and that as the king in the Christian understanding. And so it has that basis. So this is one of those days where if you're into essential oils, you get your frankincense out, take a good old whiff of that frankincense. So I don't have myrrh, and I'm not much into gold. So maybe you have all 3 of those in your home. Do you? Do you have all 3 of the gifts of the Magi in your home right now? So I do feel it's kind of fun to celebrate. I'm one of those people that says, well, why not? What's the harm in being able to celebrate? And also, I really enjoy symbolism. When you're into spiritual, theological discussions, you really start to dive deep into the mythology of comparative religion. And it's fascinating to me why we culturally have the symbols, the rituals, the ceremonies, the mores that we do. And I think it's fun for you to know where they come from, so that if you see symbols show up in your life, you know what to do. You know how to interpret them. It's something as a medium, as an intuitive, I have found very helpful that when I see certain symbols, I can understand them, or I know to research them more deeply. So today is 3 Kings Day, and I believe in certain parts of Louisiana and other places, they even make something called king bread, which is neat. I love food. I love it all. I think it's great that we have these traditions that hold things together. And if you're into Eastern Christianity, the Eastern Christian Orthodox religion, they actually use Epiphany to celebrate and commemorate the baptism of Jesus on the River Jordan that was done by John the Baptist. So that's seen as his particular manifestation in the world in the Eastern Orthodox religion. For those of you who may not know your history so much, Christianity separated. Not only did the Empire of Rome separate into the West and to the East, but Christianity did as well. And so it's neat to see how that split is formed and how people will follow a certain track and what that means to them. But some of you may also recognize this as 12th night. Now, depending on your calendar, because that's another thing that really throws people for a loop, the calendar. And my children and I have been studying the calendar and why we follow the Gregorian calendar as a society, and how there are all these other calendars to follow, whether you're in the Muslim world, the Hebrew world, Chinese, like all the Mayan calendar. In fact, one of the books that I just read with them yesterday was a book that was written in 1999 and focused on the different calendars and talked about how people were nervous about the year 2000 happening. Do you guys remember this? Remember Y2K? People were so worried. Oh no, the computers, we've only ever put 2 digits in for the year. What are we going to do? It won't know how to flip. Everything's been in the 1900s. What were we thinking? And then it all ended up okay. So anyway, it's very interesting that we have these things on our calendar. We have these historical frameworks that kind of become part of our very essence, whether we choose to celebrate them or not. These are things that are going on in a mass cultural way that are important to understand how manifestations can work. Now, yes, Mardi Gras, someone's just commenting, yes, Mardi Gras starts. So another big reason to keep celebrating. So if you were a Christmas Grinch this year, you must be, but if you're like me and you just say, let's just go with the flow and we all need a little Christmas right now, then you'll just be like, this is another great excuse. But I really want you to get excited about the symbolism that's related to these things and how you can make them be something that live in your own life in an acceptable or joyful way for you. And some of the popular things to do on Epiphany would be to, chalk your door and you put particular symbols on that door as a house blessing for your home. So this is a day where people really focus in on house blessings. And I know when we've had the Tibetan Buddhist monks visit Lily Dal, the summers that they have been here, they have done house blessings. And so that's something that people do in various cultures and various religions, that understanding of bless this house. And so that's something that you may want to do for yourself today, is to bless your house, to know that your home is blessed and filled with divine light into every little corner. And that you can do that as a renewal for yourself, as a remembrance for yourself, that your home space is sacred space. So I really like that one, as you can tell. I also enjoy the fact that you have a choice. So if you follow the rituals about this, January 6th is when you're supposed to take your Christmas decorations down off your house. If you don't, you're supposed to wait until Candlemas, which is February 2nd, which happens to be Groundhog's Day, which of course, that makes sense because we need to decide on February 2nd whether we're going to have 6 more weeks of winter and whether we need to have a little more light and that festival of light and joy in our life. So I can see how it all kind of comes together. Isn't it interesting how things can unfold in the timing of things and why things were chosen to be that way in order to uplift people, for them to understand that they are adored by God and that it can happen in that particular way. So however you decide to celebrate that, maybe it's a house blessing, like I said. Maybe you take down your Christmas decorations, or you decide to go renegade and keep them up a little longer till February 2nd. Although some people get a little frowny because it's like wearing the color white after Labor Day. Something you're just not allowed to do. But I've been down in Florida in January and February at different points, and I've seen houses all lit up with Christmas things, their ornaments. I've seen palm trees with the Christmas lights in them, and I think it's just kind of fun to be able to know that the light can continue on and doesn't always have to be contained in a certain commemoration of dates. But we have this as part of our understanding. So here in this Epiphany, maybe you've not experienced Epiphany. Have you ever experienced Epiphanies in your life? Write a comment in and let me know if that's something that you've experienced, or if you would like to experience an Epiphany. I will tell you that there is a bit of snobbery in terms of what's considered and I use snobbery because it's a word people understand, but there's a hierarchy of understanding when it comes to epiphanies. And so not everything counts as an epiphany in certain people's minds. So I'm going to break that down for you today as well. And I hope you're enjoying this understanding of Epiphany I'm sharing with you all today. So Epiphany, for a lot of people, it has a lot to do with having an intuitive moment. Inventors, scientists have had these moments where they have just known that that's how things needed to proceed in order for the invention to work, in order for things to progress in a certain way. And it's this amazing download. And so some people would call that an epiphany. Some people would want to say, well, an epiphany is not necessarily just an illuminating discovery or realization or disclosure. It has to be a manifestation of the divine presence. Now, the divine presence has to show up in an observable way. So that is actually theophany. So theophany is Theophany, and that is a Greek word. And so in the times of the Greek world, it was if a god, a Greek god or goddess showed up around you, then you were having an epiphany, a manifestation of a deity in an observable way. And so when gods show up around people, not just in Greek gods, but in different cultures, because so many religions did have that understanding of gods showing up, that is where we have that coming from, this idea of it has to be this level of divine manifestation. And so then it makes sense that things, given how Judaism evolved and that there was an understanding of the one God. So then you'd have the manifestation, the epiphany, the divine realization of the one God. So in the one God, then you have what people are always looking for, right? They're always looking for the burning bush. Now, the burning bush is something that's a reference in the Bible, and it's during the time of Moses, and he really was looking for a sign from God. How many people? They're looking for external confirmation of what they may internally know, or an internal struggle that they're having, and they're looking for that insight. So may people come to spiritualism because they're looking for that divine revelation. And so there is that understanding of what's your burning bush, that what's your great sight. And so we have that one that Moses, the angel of the Lord, appeared to Moses as a burning bush. And then we also have that pillar of cloud, the pillar of fire that was in the desert with them when they were having to travel those 40 years after they had, gotten away from the Pharaoh and the slavery. They then were so much in a confusion that they needed to be able to follow that pillar, that pillar of cloud, a pillar of light, to go into their journey. So we have that symbolic representation in the Bible expressed as following the light. And when you don't know where you're headed, you need to follow the light. And so then you also have when Moses went up onto the mountain to get the 10 Commandments, there was that understanding of he had divine revelation, epiphany moments there. And you have it through different biblical prophets. In Islam, Muhammad is said to have had his divine revelation, and it would kind of count as the epiphany space that he was entered into at that time. So you have this on a historical basis of epiphany, and then you have it when you study the saints and people who had these kinds of experiences, and even people who really started to launch religions, even more modern religions. There was usually some sort of perception of divine manifestation or an intuitive grasp of connection with the divine. So it really is about having a reality outside of yourself, external confirmation event, and it's usually something very striking that stays with you forever, and it really is very much a revealing moment for people when they're having an epiphany. So you can see how there's a difference that people might associate with maybe an intuitive insight, with an intuitive discovery and revelation, but that revelation is something that is revealed. It's actually in the word revelation, something is revealed. And with epiphany, that's a revealing scene or moment. So it's kind of like building, if you can see the hierarchy of epiphany. And then we have what's called the eureka moment. Have you guys had a eureka moment where all of a sudden you're just in that aha? And that's the illuminating discovery moment. When, in cartoons, what do? They have the light bulb above the head. And they say, oh my gosh, eureka! Or eureka is also the phrase they say when they strike gold, right? In gold rush days, if you hit gold, the gold strike meant that you go eureka, and you'd just be so excited. And we do have those opportunities to have epiphanies, to have eureka moments, to have that amazing connection with the divine in our lives, fully present, and our consciousness, our awareness takes that in. And sometimes the epiphany is almost so great that we can't even put words to it. And that's why we have the word ineffable. Ineffable means that there are no words to express what you're experiencing or feeling or sensing in that particular moment. And that's what happens a lot of times with the epiphany. There's a clarity in one sense, but there's also this, how do I even put it to words? How do I even take it to that space? How do I put it in the framework of mere words? And I think that's sometimes the difficulty that artists feel when they're wanting to convey possibly what is coming through them onto a canvas, or as they're building in a sculpture. There are these moments of how do I express that divine revelation in terms of spiritual minded art, I guess I should say, that revelation that is occurring to them in those particular moments. And that's something that we find in writing, like really good writing, that you have those moments. Or if you've ever sat down to do inspirational or automatic writing, that understanding the things that are being uncovered and revealed in those moments that you may not have allowed through because you were very much in the mundane moment. So I like holidays that take us out of that idea of the mundane and the secular and take us into the sacred mindset. And it makes sense to me that we would take those opportunities to say, yes, I want to be aware of the divine presence in my life. I want to see my divine presence. I want to know that I am a spark of the divine and be able to relate to the world in that way. So as you can see, I get really excited about the idea of revelation. I get excited about epiphany, the discovery. And sometimes you can see people have moments like that. And in my reading room, that's occurred, or in readings by phone or Zoom sometimes, you could see people are having that, oh my goodness, I do feel it. Oh my goodness, I do recognize how they've been showing up for me, their spirit loved ones. So you do have divine presence and spirit presence that come through in those moments. So really kind of cool stuff to think in terms of epiphany and knowing that you are blessed. Now, I want to just give us an opportunity. I guess what we'll just do spontaneously here is that if you want, I'm going to do a brief prayer because I like sharing those with people. So this may be a moment that you want to close your eyes and just listen to my voice, because when we close our eyes, it's easier to shut out external confusions and distractions. And so that's why it's really helpful. And in my class that I just did a class on positive affirmations and how to invite miracles and how to really be in alignment with them on a spiritual natural law basis. I do feel that it's important to kind of put yourself into that quiet, restive space of expectation of good. And so I think closing your eyes, it shows you're trusting in the moment. It's trusting in the moment, and the epiphanies are not always what you see with your physical eye, like that burning bush that people are looking for. But sometimes this happens more in the mind's eye. And I'm going to be teaching meditation for you. It's a class I'll be teaching this coming Monday night. And we talk about different forms of meditation, how to have mind focus and concentration techniques, and how to enter into that inner silence, that space of connection with God. Because I want to help facilitate the understanding of revelation and epiphany in people's lives. So close your eyes and just trust in this moment. And take a few deep breaths, because the breath is so important. We're allowing life in when we breathe. And we're affirming we're ready for our next breath when we exhale. More life, it says. More life. So breathing in and breathing out, going deeper into relaxation in this moment and trust in this moment. Establishing a good, even rhythm with your breathing. And in this moment, know that you are inviting the highest and best good, that which is divine in you and outside of you surrounds you, embraces you with love. You are accepted in an amazing and wonderful light. That divine light surrounds you. And you know that you are safe and that you are creating sacred space and affirming the sacred space that you are in right here and right now. If you're in your home, know that this permeates all spaces of your dwelling, that this light extends outward, and that you are connected to divine light at all times, whether you see the sun shining or not. We know that this is a time of opening ourselves to revelation, open ourselves to epiphany, open ourselves to God connection, the connection with Source and all that is. With the web of existence, we feel the energy building and extending outward through our space, the sacred moment, this blessing of our space that we have in this moment. And we know that we can invite gifts into our lives, that just as the 3 wise men, the 3 kings brought gifts to Jesus, we also are being given gifts. That Christ consciousness within us, that divine sense of nirvana opens up in this moment, and we can receive gifts. And if you were to envision 3 gifts in front of you right now, what would they be? 3 gifts. For Jesus, they were frankincense, myrrh, and gold. And what is in these gifts for you in the here and the now? Pay attention to the symbols that may be given to you, the colors that may be given to you at this time, or maybe just a sense of things, a sense of peace that comes to you in this moment. Sometimes we don't see, we don't feel, but we know. And even if you do not understand this moment, know that that is something that will come, that will unfold and be revealed. Sometimes the revealing is something that opens up slowly like a flower, and each petal unfolds in its time. And know that that which is revelation and joy and peace is yours in the here and now. You've been gifted it, and you have only to open it. These gifts from God have arrived in your life here and now. So you can affirm right now in your life, you can say it with me, I invite miracles in my life now. I invite moments of revelation and epiphany, knowing that I draw closer in consciousness and awareness of God at every moment. And that each step I consciously take assists me on this journey, this beautiful journey that I am on. Amen. And so it is. And so we can feel the gifts of the Spirit come to us in those moments. And perhaps you were able to see or sense or feel or know that those gifts will be made clearer to you in the time to come. So I love the symbology of this time. Why not use it? Why not let 3 kings, 3 wise men, 3 understandings of wisdom come to us in this moment now? Why not? Why wouldn't you let that in? It might be something for you to explore. And it's something that we can explore on deep levels, and it can affect us on mind, body, spirit levels. And I encourage you to let this moment be a time that you allow yourself to unfold, that you are becoming better mentally, physically, emotionally, and spiritually in this moment. So I hope that you enjoy that. And I do want to extend the offer to you all. If you want to register for my classes, you're welcome to, because we do these kinds of things in class. And I really want to teach people how to rely on their own spirits, to feel empowered within their own souls. And that's why the 3rd class in the January series is Magical Journey Within, so that you can really understand how to recognize relaxation in your body, how to recognize insight from your body and your spirit and your energy. So that's why I have that class series that I developed. That's why I do these Wednesdays with Willa podcasts, so that you guys can find a way of having access more readily to your gifts of the Spirit, be they for spirit contact and in the mediumship understandings, or maybe into intuition or healing. But know that those were all gifts of the Spirit that Jesus and other prophets and spiritual teachers have exhibited throughout the years, and that they are accessible to you in the here and the now. So on this day of Epiphany, know that you are opening, you are welcoming epiphany, spiritual revelations, and that the spiritual words will be shared with you. The spiritual knowledge will be shared with you in divine right timing, divine right order. And that the teachers are around us. Each and every person we connect with is a teacher to us. And that we will find the right spiritual mentors when we need them. And even more greatly, the guide within, that listening to the inner guide. So, I just feel so good about the fact that we've been able to do that, and I hope that you get excited about having your own house and space blessed, and that you can embrace the light in this time. All right, everyone, enjoy, and I'll see you next week. Next week on Wednesdays with Willa, my guest will be Janet Havoc, and she is a wonderful evidential medium. We're going to be talking about mediumship. I've got other great guests in store for you for the month of January, along with my January classes. And you can find out more information about that on my Facebook page, Willa White Medium, and also if you want to register for classes, that's at willawhite.com. Be well, be blessed, be full of the Spirit of the Lord. Bye-bye.